So the clash of Achaean and Trojan troops was on its own, the battle in all its fury veering back and forth, careering down the plain, as they sent their bronze lances hurtling side to side between the Simois bank and Xanthus' swirling rapids. That Achaean bulwark against Ajax came up first, broke the Trojan line, and brought his men some hope, spearing the bravest man the Thracians fielded, Acamas, tall and staunch. Eusorus' son, the first to hurl, great Ajax, hit the ridge of the helmet's horsehair crest. The bronze point stuck in Acamas' forehead, pounding through the skull, and the dark came swirling down to shroud his eyes. A shattering war cry. Diomedes killed off Axylus, Teuthras' son, who had lived in rock-built Arisbe, a man of means and a friend to all mankind. At his roadside house he'd warm all comers in. But who of his guests would greet his enemy now, meet him face to face, and ward off grisly death? Diomedes killed the man and his aide in arms at once, Axylus and Calesius, who always drove his team. Both at a stroke he drove beneath the earth. Euryalus killed Dresus, killed Opheltius, turned and went for Pedasus and Sisyphus, twins, the nymph of the spring, a Barbaria, bore Duke Beucalion. Beucalion's son himself to the lofty King Laomedon, first of the line, though his mother bore the prince in secrecy and shadow. Tending his flocks one day, Beucalion took the nymph in a strong surge of love, and beneath his force she bore him twin sons. But now the son of Mecistheus hacked the force from beneath them both, and loosed their gleaming limbs and tore the armor off the dead men's shoulders. Polypaetus braced for battle against Astyalus. Winging his bronze spear, Odysseus slew Pidetes, bred in Percote, and Teucer did the same for the royal Aretione. Ablerus went down too under the flashing lance of Nestor's son Antilochus, and Elatus under the lord of men Agamenon's strength. Elatus lived by the banks of rippling Satniois, and Pedasus perched on the cliffs. The hero Lytus ran Phylacus down to ground at a dead run, and Eurypylus killed Melanthius outright. But Menelaus, lord of the war cry, had caught Adrestus alive, rearing, bolting, in terror down the plain. His forces snared themselves in tamarisk branches, splintered his curved chariot just to the pole's tip, and breaking free they made a dash for the city walls, where battle teams by the drove stampeded in panic. But their master hurled from the chariot, tumbling over the wheel and pitching face down in the dust. And above him now rose Menelaus, his spear's long shadow looming. Adrestus hugged his knees and begged him, pleading, "Take me alive at Trojan. Take a ransom worth my life. Treasures are piled up in my rich father's house, bronze and gold and plenty of well-wrought iron. Father would give you anything, gladly price this ransom, if only he learns I'm still alive in Argive ships." His pleas were moving the heart of Menelaus. And just at the point of handing him to an aide to take him back to the fast Achaean ships, when up rushed Agamemnon, blocking his way and shouting out, "So soft, dear brother. Why? Why such concern for enemies? I suppose you got such tender loving care at home with the Trojans? Ah, would to God not one of them could escape his sudden plunging death beneath our hands. No baby boy still in his mother's belly, not even he escape. In Ilium blotted out, no tears for their lives, no markers for their graves." And the iron warrior brought his brother round. Rough justice. Fitting, too. Menelaus shoved Adrestus back with his fist. Powerful Agamemnon stabbed him in the flank, and back on his side the fighter went face up. The son of Atreus dug a heel in his heaving chest and wrenched the ash spear out. Here came Nestor, with orders ringing down the field. "My comrades, fighting Danaans, aid of Ares, no plunder now. Don't lag behind, don't fling yourself at spoils just to haul the biggest portion back to your ship. Now's the time for killing. Later at leisure, strip the corpses up and down the plain." So he ordered, spurring each man's nerve, and the next moment crowds of Trojans once again would have clambered back inside the city walls, terror struck by the Argives, primed for battle. But Helenus, the son of Priam, best of the seers, who scanned the flight of birds, came striding up to Aeneas and Hector, calling out, "My captain, you bear the brunt of Troy's and Lycia's fighting. You are our bravest men. Whatever the enterprise, pitched battle itself, or planning our campaign, so stand your ground, right here. Go through the ranks and rally all the troops. Hold back our retreating mobs outside the gates, before they throw themselves in their women's arms in fear. A great joy to our enemies closing for the kill. And once you've roused our lines to the last man, we'll hold out here and fight the Argives down, hard hit as we are. Necessity drives us on. But you, Hector, go back to our city. Tell our mother to gather all the older noble women together in gray-eyed Athena's shrine on the city's crest. Unlock the doors of the goddess' sacred chamber, and take a robe, the largest, loveliest robe that she can find throughout the royal halls, a gift that far and away she prizes most herself, and spread it out across the sleek-haired goddess's knees. Then promise to sacrifice 12 heifers in her shrine, yearlings never broken, if only she'll pity Troy, the Trojan wives, and all our helpless children. If only she'll hold Diomedes back from the holy city, that wild spearman, that invincible, headlong terror. He is the strongest Argive now, I tell you. Never once did we fear Achilles so, captain of armies, born of a goddess, too. So they say. But he is a maniac, run amok. No one can match his fury man to man. So he urged, and Hector obeyed his brother start to finish. Down he leapt from his chariot full armed, hit the ground, and brandishing two sharp spears went striding down his lines, ranging flank to flank, driving his fighters into battle, rousing grisly war, and round the Trojans whirled, bracing to meet the Argives face to face. The Argives gave way. They quit the slaughter. They thought some god swept down from the starry skies to back the Trojans now. They wheeled and rallied so. Hector shouted out to his men in a piercing voice, "Gallant-hearted Trojans, and far-famed allies, now be men, my friends, call up your battle fury, till I can return to Troy and tell them all, the old counselors, all our wives, to pray to the gods, and vow to offer them many splendid victims." As Hector turned for home, his helmet flashed, and the long dark hide of his bossed shield, the rim running the metal edge, drummed his neck and ankles. Now Glaucus, son of Hippolochus, and Tydeus, son Diomedes, met in the no-man's land between both armies, burning for battle, closing, squaring off. Lord of the war cry, Diomedes opened up, "Who are you, my fine friend? Another born to die? I never noticed you on the lines where we win glory, not till now. But here you come, charging out in front of all the rest with such bravado, daring to face the flying shadow of my spear. Pity the one whose sons stand up to me in war. If you're an immortal come from the blue, I'm not the man to fight the gods of heaven, not even Dryas' indestructible son Lycurgus, not even he lived long. That fellow who tried to fight the deathless gods. He rushed at the Maenads once, nurses of wild Dionysus, scattered them breakneck down the holy mountain Nysa, routed them, strewed their sacred staves on the ground, raked with a cattle prod by Lycurgus. Murderous fool. Dionysus was terrified. He drove beneath the surf with a sea nymph. Thetis pressed him to her breast. Dionysus, numb with fear, shivers racked his body, thanks to the raucous onslaught of that man. But the gods, who live at ease, lashed out against him. Worse, the son of Cronos struck Lycurgus blind. Nor did the man live long, not with the hate of all the gods against him. No, my friend, I have no desire to fight the blithe immortals. But if you are a man who eats the crops of the earth, a mortal born for death, here, come closer. The sooner you will meet your day to die. But the noble son of Hippolochus answered staunchly, "High-hearted son of Tydeus, who ask about my birth, like the generations of leaves, the lives of mortal men. Now the wind scatters the old leaves across the earth, and now the living timber bursts with the new buds, and spring comes round again. So with men. As one generation comes to life, another dies away. But about my birth, if you like to learn it well, first to last, though many people know it, here's my story. There's a city, Corinth, deep in a bend of Argos, good stallion country, where Sisyphus used to live, the wiliest man alive. Sisyphus, Iola's son, who had a son called Glaucus. And in his day Glaucus sired brave Bellerophon, a man without a fault. The gods gave him beauty and fine, gallant traits that go with men. But Proteus plotted against him. Far stronger the king in his anger drove him out of Argos, the kingdom of Zeus. Had brought beneath his scepter Proteus' wife, you see, was mad for Bellerophon. The lovely Antea lusted to couple with him, all in secret. Futile, she could never seduce the strong man's will. His seasoned, firm resolve, so straight to the king she went, blurting out her lies. I wish you'd die, Proteus, if you don't kill Bellerophon. Bellerophon's bent on dragging me down with him in lust, though I fight him all the way. All of it false, but the king seethed when he heard a tale like that. He balked at killing the man, he'd some respect at least, but he quickly sent him off to Lycia, gave him tokens, murderous signs, scratched in a folded tablet, and many of them, too, enough to kill a man. He told him to show them to Antaeus' father. That would mean his death. So off he went to Lycia, safe in the escort of the gods. And once he reached the broad highlands cut by the rushing Xanthus, the king of Lycia gave him a royal welcome. 9 days he feasted him, 9 oxen slaughtered. When the 10th dawn shone with her rose-red fingers, he began to question him, asked to see his credentials, whatever he brought him from his father-in-law, Proteus. But then once he received that fatal message sent from his own daughter's husband, first he ordered Bellerophon to kill the Chimera, a grim monster sprung of the gods, nothing human, all lion in front, all snake behind, all goat between, terrible, blasting lethal fire at every breath. But he laid her low, obeying signs from the gods. And next he fought the Solymi, tribesmen bent on glory. Roughest battle of men he ever entered, so he claimed. And then for a third test he brought the Amazons down, a match for men in war. But as it turned back, his host spun out the tightest trap of all. Picking the best men from Lycia far and wide, he set an ambush that never came home again. Fearless Bellerophon killed them all. Then, yes, when the king could see the man's power at last, a true son of the gods, he pressed him hard to stay. He offered his own daughter's hand in marriage. He gave him half his royal honors as the king. The Lycians carved him out a grand estate, the choicest land in the realm, rich in vineyards, good tilled fields, him to lord it over. And his wife bore good Bellerophon 3 children, Isander, Hippolochus, and Laodamia. Laodamia lay in the arms of Zeus, who rules the world, and she bore the god a son, our great commander, Sarpedon, helmed in bronze. But the day soon came when even Bellerophon was hated by all the gods. Across the Iliad plain he wandered all alone, eating his heart out, a fugitive on the run from the beaten tracks of men. And his son, Isander, killed by the war god, never sated, a boy fighting the Solymi, always out for glory. And Laodamia, Artemis, flashing her golden reins, cut her down in anger. But Hippolochus fathered me, I'm proud to say. He sent me off to Troy, and I hear his urgings ringing in my ears. Always be the best, my boy, the bravest. Hold your head up high above the others. Never disgrace the generation of your fathers. They were the bravest champions born in Corinth, in Lycia far and wide. They are my lineage. That's the blood I claim, my royal birth. Well, when he heard that, Diomedes' spirits lifted. Raising his spear, the lord of the war cry drove it home, planting it deep in the earth that feeds us all. And with winning words, he called out to Glaucus, the young captain, Splendid! You are my friend, my guest from the days of our grandfathers. Long ago, noble Aeneas hosted your brave Bellerophon once. He held him here there in his halls 20 whole days, and they gave each other handsome gifts of friendship. My kinsman offered a gleaming sword belt, rich red. Bellerophon gave a cup, 2-handled, solid gold. I left it at home when I set up for Troy. My father, Tydeus, I really don't remember. I was just a baby when father left me then. That time an Achaean army went to die at Thebes. So now I am your host and friend. In the heart of Argos, you are mine in Lycia when I visit in your country. Come, let us keep clear of each other's spears, even there in the thick of battle. Look, plenty of Trojans there for me to kill. Your famous allies too, any soldier the god will bring in range or I can run to ground. And plenty of Argives too. Kill them if you can. But let's trade armor. The men must know our claim. We are sworn friends from our father's day till now. And both agreed. Both fighters sprang from their chariots, clasped each other's hands, and traded pacts of friendship. But the son of Cronos, Zeus, stole Glaucus' wits away. He traded his gold armor for bronze with Diomedes, the worth of 100 oxen just for 9. Now, when Hector reached the Scion gates and the great oak, the wives and daughters of Troy came rushing up around him, asking about their sons, their brothers, their friends, their husbands. But Hector told them only, "Pray to the gods." All the Trojan women, one after another, hard sorrows were hanging over them. Soon he came to Priam's palace, that magnificent structure built wide with porches and colonnades of polished stone, and deep within its walls were 50 sleeping chambers, masoned in smooth, lustrous ashlar, linked in a line where the sons of Priam slept beside their wedded wives. And facing these, opening out across the inner courtyard, lay the 12 sleeping chambers of Priam's daughters, masoned and roofed in lustrous ashlar, linked in a line where the sons of Priam slept beside their wives. And there at the palace Hector's mother met her son, that warm, good-hearted woman going in with Laodice, the loveliest daughter Hecuba ever bred. His mother clutched his hand and urged him, called his name. "My child, why have you left the bitter fighting? Why have you come here? Look how they wear you out, the sons of Achaia, curse them, battling round our walls. And that's why your spirit brought you back to Troy, to climb the heights and stretch your arms to Zeus. But wait, I'll bring you some honeyed, mellowed wine. First pour out cups to Father Zeus and the other gods. Then refresh yourself, if you like to quench your thirst. When a man's exhausted, wine will build his strength, battle-weary as you are, fighting for your people." But Hector shook his head, his helmet flashing. "Don't offer me mellowed wine, mother, not now. You'd sap my limbs, I'd lose my nerve for war, and I'd be ashamed to pour a glistening cup to Zeus with unwashed hands. I'm splattered with blood and filth. How could I pray to the Lord of Storm and Lightning? No, mother, you are the one to pray. Go to Athena's shrine, the queen of plunder. Go with offerings. Gather the noble older women and take a robe, the largest, loveliest robe that you can find throughout the royal halls, a gift that far and away you prize most yourself, and spread it out across the sleek-haired goddess's knees. Then promise to sacrifice 12 heifers in her shrine, yearlings never broken, if only she'll pity Troy, the Trojan wives, and all our helpless children. Only she'll hold Diomedes back from the holy city, that wild spearman, that invincible, headlong terror. Now, mother, go to the queen of Plunder's shrine, and I'll go hunt for Paris. Summon him to fight, if the man will hear what I have to say. Let the earth gape and swallow him on this spot. The great curse Olympian Zeus let live and grow in him, for Troy and high-hearted Priam and all his sons. Oh, that man. If I could see him bound for the house of death, I could say my heart had forgot its wrenching grief." His mother simply turned away to the palace. She gave her servants orders, and out they strode to gather the older noble women throughout the city. Hecuba went down to a storeroom filled with scent, and there they were, brocaded, beautiful robes, the work of Sidonian women. Magnificent Paris brought those women back himself from Sidon. Sailing the open seas on the same long voyage, he swept Helen off, her famous father's child. Lifting one from the lot, Hecuba brought it out for great Athena's gift, the largest, loveliest, richly worked, like a star in prison, deep beneath the others. Then she made her way with a file of noble women rushing in her train. Once they reached Athena's shrine on the city crest, the beauty Theano opened the doors to let them in. Chryseis' daughter, the horseman, Antenor's wife, and Athena's priestess, chosen by the Trojans. Then, with a shrill wail, they all stretched their arms to Athena, as Theano, her face radiant, lifting the robe on high, spread it out across the sleek-haired goddess's knees, and prayed to the daughter of mighty father Zeus. Queen Athena, shield of our city, glory of goddesses, now shatter the spear of Diomedes, that wild man, hurl him headlong down before the Scion gates. At once will sacrifice 12 heifers in your shrine, yearlings never broken, if only you'll pity Troy, the Trojan wives, and all our helpless children. But Athena refused to hear Theano's prayer.